Let's talk about the newest collection from Ensley Cosmetics, the Lens of Enchantment. There's an eyeshadow palette. There's 4 single eyeshadows and 5 pigments, and then also a rainbow highlighter. So there's lots to talk about and lots to swatch. And thank you so much to Ensley for sending these products over to me. I'm so excited to be able to try these out. The concept is beautiful, the color story is beautiful, and there's just a lot to choose from. So there are 25 pans in the eyeshadow palette, and I love that they alternate between matte shimmer, row by row. And as you can see, it is a very light pastel color story with some midtones as well and some deepening up shades. Now there are 4 beautiful iridescent type of duochrome, multi-chrome shades, and then there's also some holographic eyeshadows in here as well. So there are lots of special shimmers in here. There is also a mirror, and you can rearrange the pans. They are magnetic, so you can take them out, create your own BYOPs, or rearrange them in the palette. You can do whatever you like. There's also 4 single eyeshadows, and these are so beautiful, very pastel, ethereal-like. These are so smooth and so metallic. Then there's also 5 loose pigments. And this collection has already launched and is available up on their website. Now, they did originally have a couple of quality discrepancies with 4 of the shades, which they fixed in time for launch. So I do have the correct quality shades in here. I wanted to wait to have them so I could show you the most accurate swatches and performances of all the shadows. So I'm going to be creating 4 looks, and I'll be giving you some of my thoughts at the end of the video, as well as showing you some back of the hand swatches while I'm kind of talking about my thoughts. So let's get right into it. I primed with the P. Louise paint in 0.5. But actually, before I jump into it, I do want to use the highlighter on the cheeks, and I'm just going to put my brush in it and just kind of swirl it around. I'm not going to be doing the stripey thing. If you want to see a rainbow stripe, then check out my Instagram. I've been doing quite a bit of them, and I just enjoy them so much. There's just something so satisfying about them. This is a really nice kind of formula that really just melts into the skin. There's no like glitter particles, and it looks wet. I'm taking Awakening first, and I'm gonna pop that onto the inner crease, and I'm just gonna slowly build it up and take it higher and higher. And then I'm gonna take Transcend and pop that right next to that and bring it a little bit underneath my lower lash line. Oh, that is so pigmented. Look at that. That blended out so nicely as well. And then, of course, I gotta deepen this outer corner up, taking Edge of Night and popping it right under the outer corner and bringing it a little bit onto my lower lash line. Just like to kind of pack it down and take it around, just adding a little bit more here, but trying to keep it controlled and not blowing it out too far. And then I think I'm even going to take the dark green, and I'm going to deepen the crease right here. Look at that. That was so easy. I have a little bit of fallout right here underneath. I'm going to go back into this blendy brush. It's a little bit larger, and just go over the edges. That is looking so good. So on the inner portion right here, I'm going to go with Lunar Light, and I'm just going to take my pinky and look at that. That looks wet. I just watched these yesterday. I took some pictures. Really excited how they came out, and I was so excited to use these shimmers. They are... And then I'm going to take Shattered Stars. Look at this. And I'm going to pop that right next to it in the center. And I'm going to kind of blend it into the outer portion here a little bit as well. Oh, that is so shiny and so beautiful. I think I would have used the Crystal City from these singles as my inner corner highlight. So I'm just going to take a little baby brush. So this is Crystal City, and I'm going to pop that right in here. It is like a holographic kind of shadow. And here's the first finished look. For the second look, I really want to use Light Language because it looks just like the most magical, vibrant, bluish, indigo kind of iridescent multi-chrome. And I just feel like it needs to be layered over some beautiful pastels. So I'm going in with Atlantis. And I'm just going to pop that all the way in the crease. Just take it all the way around. I think I'm gonna use, do I want to use another shade to take this into? No, I think this is blending. I think I really like the tone of this, so I don't really want to risk kind of altering it. And just blending, and then going over the edges. And then I'm gonna take Great Crystal on the same brush and just pop it onto the outer corner and the inner lid. And then I'm going to start to slowly blend that upwards. And I'm slowly going to bring that out and out, up and out. And just slowly taking it and a little bit underneath my lower lash line. I'm going to take a little bit more. And then I'm going to take a little bit more Atlantis on the same brush. I just wiped it off. And just take it onto the corners of that and then up in here. And then ready for this magic, I'm taking Light Language just with my pinky. Look at this. I feel like it's kind of getting blown out a little bit with this lighting, but it is so beautiful. And I'm just putting that right into the center of my lid. Look at that. I'm just gonna take a little bit more. Oh, that is so ethereal. That is so stunning. Adding a little bit more. Here's the second finished look. For the third look, I really want to pair Paradise with Utopia. I feel like they'd be really interesting together. So I'm going to take Paradise and just tap it onto the inner kind of third of my lid and into the crease. This is as pastel as can possibly get. And then I'm taking Utopia and I'm going to create an eyeshadow wing with that. So just first kind of using whatever's on the brush and just kind of moving the pigment around. And then I'll go in to build it up once I have it pretty much where I want it to be. And so I'm going to go back in with a little bit more now that I've spread it around. And I'm just going to go right against my lash line. Picked up True Essence and I'm going to miss my brush just a little bit. And I'm going to pop that right onto this area. And I have a ton of fallout. It's like the hollows are kind of fallen down a little bit. I think this one might be best applied with a finger, so we're gonna do that. Yeah, it's definitely a lot better. And a little bit more opaque, so now I'm gonna brush off as much as I can. I already have lots of sparkles from the previous look there, but that's fine. I'm taking Starlight, also hollow, and popping that right in the center. This is such a beautiful shade. It's got a very interesting, like, pinky shift to it, but then you see, like, the hollow. I feel like with this shade, I can kind of see the hollow separate itself a little bit, especially out here on an angle. So I think I would use a tacky primer for sure with this shade and True Essence. Here's the third finished look. And for the last look, I want to use the shade Unification, which is one of these loose pigments. And it actually looks like it'll be a really good, kind of interesting, neutral, super sparkly, loose pigment. That I'm picking up Lost World and popping that right onto the lid. And I'm going to take it about halfway. And then onto the outer corner is where I'm taking Pleiadian. And we're just going to really deepen up this outer corner. And bring it a little bit underneath the lower lash line as well. And just blending. And I'm just going to take a little bit more. And I'm just kind of melting them together in the center. And then I'm going to take a clean brush, which I don't have many at this point, and I'm just going to go over the edges of this all the way around. And I'm going to go back in here, just a little bit more of that deep teal shade. That is so, so pretty. I mean, look at that blend. So on this brush, I put on a little bit of the Karla Cosmetics Fix Potion, which is a gel. And I'm just going to spread it all the way across my entire lid. And then I'm going to kind of let that sit for a little bit so it's like kind of mid-drying. And then with the same part of the brush that had the primer on it, I'm just going in a little bit into the cap of the shimmer loose pigment. And that's going, whoa. Whoa, that is so stunning. There is just something about loose pigments and the way that they just, wow, they can literally look like liquid metal. It's wild. I'm just taking that out into the outer corner. So this is the shade Unification. I'm taking a little bit more of the teal out here. I just really want to make sure it's nice and blended with the shimmer. Here's the fourth finished look. So first I'm going to talk about the loose pigments. I am pretty familiar with loose pigments at this point. I have tried quite a bit of different kinds of brands, different textures, and these are so sparkly, really, really beautiful. They are a little bit on the messy side, just like with any loose pigment, so that is something to kind of consider before you purchase any of these. I do think they have a really nice variety of shades. I think I would definitely pick and choose. And of course, you do need to use these with some sort of a tacky primer or something to help these adhere, since it is a loose pigment. Very, very wet looking. I especially enjoy the shade Unification because I feel like this one you can really pair with so many different matte colors, and it will really kind of adapt to whatever you're using it with. It's like these loose pigments were made by the fairies themselves because they are so sparkly. The least sparkly one is Ascension for sure. If I was to choose a favorite from these, I would definitely say Unification. That one is just Chef's Kiss, Perfection. And then Syrian also, I think is a really unique, beautiful, super peachy, pinky, kind of multi-chrome with lots of sparkle in it. As for the highlighter, I love a rainbow highlighter. Like, it's just so fun to me. That being said, are you going to be wearing like a rainbow across your cheek every day? Maybe, maybe not. It is a 26mm pen, and I know, of course, because it is in rose, it must be harder and more expensive to produce. And that's why the $20 price tag reflects that. I love this formula. It is such a beautiful formula for the cheeks. I would love to see Ensley come out with just like some iridescent highlighters that are just like one of each of these colors and not necessarily stripy, because the formula is beautiful. It looks absolutely wet on the cheek. It just melts into the skin. The 4 single shadows, I don't know what kind of sorcery is in these, but when I first swatched them, they completely took my breath away. The way this texture feels, so silky smooth, but not in like a silky smooth way that I felt before. Like when I say silky smooth, you know, I think definitely of some Clionadh shadows. I feel like these feel a little bit more of a different kind of silkiness. They are just pure metal when you swatch them. They really feel high-end, and I absolutely love these. I love the colors. Again, do I feel like you need all of them in the grand scheme of things? Probably not. So it is totally up to you to pick and choose which shade you see yourself using the most. I do think all of these will make a great one and done shadow, or just popping a matte in the crease and putting these all over the lid. I do like that they are a little bit more layerable, so again, you can really just transform them over mattes. Now let's talk about the palette. It does have the $88 price tag, so it is on the pricey side, keeping in mind that it is magnetic. You can remove all the eyeshadows, which does drive up the cost. And you also have a mirror. These are full-size pans, and you do get quite a bit of special shades. It is really up to you what you think is worth it to you. Personally, I would rather pay $88 for a palette like this than a Pat McGrath $125 palette, or even their holiday palettes, which I believe were like $78 like last year when they launched an all eyeshadow kind of palette for the holidays. These shimmers, these colors just appeal to me way more, and my eyeshadow preferences. So I think for me and my preferences, it would be worth it if I had purchased this palette. I would not regret spending the money. Now, of course, you can use codes on top of it as well, which will bring down the price a little bit. The shade Earthlight and True Essence, to me, it's like the hollow is separating a little bit from them, so I would definitely do your eyes before your face and use a tacky primer to really get those to adhere. None of these are flaky, none of these are dry, none of these really nice textures. I think very easy to use. Fae, Light Language, and Divine Light are the most smooth, I would say, and so is Moonrise, but Moonrise just is not as shiny. as Fae in Light Language. Lunar Light, while it is very metallic, it has just a little bit more texture to it. So this is the kind of texture that you might pick up just a little bit too much of, but it completely smooths out and it will not accentuate any skin texture. Moon Magic, Cosmic Flow, and Starseed, I feel like they have a little bit more texture to them, like Lunar Light, where they might pick up a little bit chunky, but not in a dry, flaky way. They completely smooth out. Shadow Stars is also very, very smooth, very beautiful. And so is Lemuria. The shade Moon Magic in this palette is crazy. I mean, it is so shifty. And it's holographic. When I swatched it, I could not believe this was real. It is one of the shiftiest multi-chromes I've ever seen. It just shifts so quickly, so easily, and I can't wait to use this one. I definitely want to feature it in a reel, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. The mattes performed so beautifully. Really love the quality of these mattes. I had absolutely no issues layering them. They were so easy to blend, to put together, layer together. I had such a great time with this palette and I can't wait to use it some more. I do want to show you a comparison of the Blend Money Sickly Sweet palette and this palette because I do think there's a couple of similarities in terms of there's some pastels and deepening up shades as well. However, the formula obviously completely different, especially when it comes to the shimmers. There's less shimmers in the Sickly Sweet palette, and also they're a completely different kind of shimmer formula. They're not hollow, they're not multi-chrome, and the pans are not removable. In terms of matte shadows, I would say about 5 of them are a bit similar to each other, like the most similar in tone. But other than that, I think they're pretty different palettes. And personally, I don't feel like having the Lands of Enchantment palette is repetitive to having the Sickly Sweet palette, but that is, again, something to think about and consider before purchasing. So as I mentioned, I don't think you need all the different pieces. I think this is more like a pick and choose kind of scenario. I do think it's a bit overwhelming to launch an eyeshadow palette, 4 single eyeshadows and 5 loose pigments. I just think that's a lot to have to choose from. I do think that any of these pieces would make a great gift, and we are in the season of gifting, so definitely keep these in mind if they are something you really want to add to your collection, to ask for these as a gift from someone, whether it's for Christmas, your birthday, whatever celebrations might be coming up for you. So let me know your thoughts below. Did you pick any of these up? Which look is your favorite? Which of the shades are your favorite? And if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.